Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Friday. As usual, if anyone's there, do pop a hello in the comments so that I can say hello. Gives me somebody to talk to other than the wall. Grab your cuppa, grab your cake for breakfast. Everyone should have cake for breakfast. Good morning, Maria. Good morning, Karen. I haven't actually got any cake. Okay, that needs to be remedied today, doesn't it? That's a bit embarrassing. No cake in the house. Good morning, Carla. Good morning, Petronella. Good morning, Michelle. I have got healthy licorice and peppermint tea. Good morning, Jane. Good morning, Susie. Oh, Karen's having a bacon butty. Oh, I'm jealous, Karen. Totally jealous. Good morning, Sue. Okay, I could really eat a bacon butty right now. Not quite the same having had my bran flakes. Really not the same. Good morning, Carol. Yeah, Pete and Erica downstairs. Good morning, Sue from New Zealand. Kia ora. Good morning, Christine. Good morning, Christine. Michelle loves cinnamon crumb cake for breakfast. Okay, I need some of that now too. Bacon butty followed by cinnamon crumb cake. Good morning, Jay. Jane, how about bran flakes and a bacon? Can't even speak. That's because I haven't had a bacon butty. How about bran flakes and bacon butty and cinnamon crumb cake? Now that sounds like a proper breakfast. Breakfast and second breakfast. Good morning, Melanie. Good morning, Emma. Good morning, Rachel. Good morning, Eve. Good morning, Dawn. Good morning, Jackie. Good morning, Giselle. Giselle is heading off to the seaside today for the weekend. Oh, perfect. Perfect timing, Giselle. That's what we're all about today. Shells and sand and sea glass today. So we are going to take a magical trip to the seaside this morning, which I am very lucky to live by, I must admit. About a 5-minute drive from the nearest ocean, which is lovely. Very lucky. And about 5-minute drive to the nearest woods as well. So a bit blessed, really. And even that with being on the edge of a city too. So spoilt for choice for everything, really. Shopping, takeaways, food deliveries, forests, oceans. Good morning, Lisa. Eve is having cornflakes, banana and honey. Oh, that sounds nice. That sounds nice. Emma's got a busy morning. What are you doing sitting here then, Emma? Come on. Come on, put your finger out. I hope you have a productive morning, Emma. Carol wished I lived beside the sea. It is very special, I must admit, to be able to have that so close. The ocean is where I go to just unwind, really. If I'm really stressed or everything's all a bit too much, visiting the ocean is absolutely perfect for me. Jane is going on a magical trip to Barkingside Chaz's. Sounds enchanting, Jane. Maria will have porridge and blueberries. Oh, yeah. Oh, I've got some blueberries and I've got some porridge. I do like a good bowl of porridge. As it is, or made into flapjacks. Either way, I'm not fussed. Petronella's near the North Sea and some small woods. Excellent. Good morning, Erin. Sue is 5 minutes from a lake. Perfect. 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 We're all near something magical. Even, if I, like myself, you live on the edge of a city, even if there is no ocean or woods, there's always something magical that you're near, whether it is your own garden or the local park, or even just a tree planted in the middle of a concrete high rise. There's always something magical close by. Maria would jump on a train to the coast if it weren't so cold. It is a little bit chilly to be on the seafront at the moment. Yes, the wind chill factor is pretty cold. Giselle, Swanage is our destination. I need to get my feet in the sand. Love Swanage, Giselle. My husband gigs in Swanage on quite a regular occurrence. Very nice little seaside town. Melanie's having avocado on toast with Cajun spice. Oh, my breakfast menu is getting bigger. My breakfast menu with all of this stuff is going to take me to lunchtime to eat, I think. Good morning, Jess. Last Friday as back to work full-time next week. Oh, boo. Or yay, depending on how you look at it. Thank you all. It's been the highlight of my week for a year. We'll still watch the catch-ups, but not the same as chatting with you all. I am really, really pleased that it has made a difference for you, Jess. It's certainly made a difference for me interacting with you guys on a regular basis. Definitely. Good morning, Tony. Christine is munching on my Nutribrex. I don't know what it is, Christine, but it sounds nasty. It sounds terribly healthy. And 12 tablets. I've got a chest infection. Oh, boo. That's not good. Hope the tablets work, Christine. Good morning, Irene. Right, let's get this show on the road, as they say. I haven't taken my antihistamines this morning, as you can hear. Good morning, Tilly. Rhea says it's like Weetabix. Okay, I don't mind Weetabix. It sounds really, really terribly healthy. Good morning, Willow. Craig, Carol, sorry. I live near a lot of woodland, and when you walk through it all, there's waterfalls. Oh, stunning. Absolutely stunning, Carol. That's perfect. Christine, at least I'm still smiling. Good on you, Christine. Good on you. Yeah, I hope you get better soon. Right, let's tackle it then. So we've done feathers and we've done pebbles, all from my Witchcraft into the Wilds book, which focuses on using everything that nature gives you for free to work magic with, so that it doesn't cost you anything and you're working directly with natural items to provide that magic for you. And moving on from those two brings us to shells. As I mentioned last week in the Stones chat, different beaches have different types. So they have different types of pebbles and they have different types of shells. The local beach to me has quite a nice assortment of shells. They have little snail type shells, the little clam type shells, and also ones that we say look like big toenails. I don't know what type they are, but they look like big old ugly toenails. But they're all shells and they all have magic. Move along the coast a bit, round to Dorset, Charmouth in particular, because I'm quite familiar with that beach. My cousins lived there, so no shells at all, but lots of sea glass. And we don't get sea glass on our beach. So it depends what beach you're on, what area you're in, will depend on what type of shells, whether you get them, whether you get sea glass, or, you'll have to investigate, basically. Sue says, the charity shops are open. They are indeed. My husband and I have a week off work next week, so charity shops will be one of the places we're visiting. We had the week off, actually, because we were going on holiday to Tintagel. This was booked about a year and a half ago, but of course it's been moved, and now it's been cancelled completely. So we will be at home just mooching about, but we are going to visit the charity shops. Good morning, Alex. Good morning, Jenny. Jane. Oh, Jane, that's a big word. Glycymeris, like a cockle but flatter, and the lines go round it instead of radiating. That's a very technical name for a shell. Chazatrol was my first trip out, says Jane. Found lots of knitting needles. Excellent. Yes, we will be. Actually, the garden centre was the first place we went to on Monday and had a cup of coffee outside their cafe. Oh, Karen's off to Tintagel again soon. I am a bit jealous, Karen. Good morning, Leslie. So I am lucky enough to live by the sea, so I can collect shells quite easily. I love walking along the beach, and I always come back with pockets full of shells and hagstones. it's just one of those things. You'll see them and you'll feel that you need to pick them up. But they are so magical. I have some here. Let's get some out of here. I have actually got a selection here. Let me show you. Lots of different ones. I have to say most of these came in a craft bag, bought some considerable time ago, and when we cleared out some stuff, we found it. So I wouldn't actually normally buy shells from craft shops without checking about how they have been sourced. You need to check that they have been ethically and sustainably sourced. But as these were kicking about in our cupboard for several years, I will use them because it would be silly to just throw them away. So you can tell they're craft ones. Look, it's got glitter on it. There's all sorts of amazing shells here. All sorts of amazing ones. Got some different ones here. I mean, obviously, these ones really aren't, native to where I am. I wouldn't find a conch shell on the beach in Portsmouth in Hampshire because they don't live there. I'm more likely to find this kind of thing on my beach, if you can see that. But they are all magical, no matter what shape or size they are. Melanie loves to watch northern mudlarks on YouTube. They go around beaches finding glass and gems. So I have got some sea glass here to show you as well. We'll talk about properties of that in a minute as well. You can find some amazing things. And of course, driftwood as well you can find. Maria has a large abalone with smaller shells in for years now. Brilliant abalone shells are really good for offering dishes and also for dishes for smudging. So it catches all of the ashes as well. I've got some small shells with the mother of pearl inside that I use to work with for moon magic, because shells are very much associated with water, obviously, which gives them a direct link to moon magic as well. I often use a shell in ritual or on my altar to represent the element of water, which I associate with the direction of west. I also use them to represent the element of water in spell working, in witch bottles, in spell pouches. The moon controls the tides of the ocean, so shells are associated with lunar magic completely. And being associated with water and the moon, I think shells work perfectly for everything that water symbolizes, so particularly emotions. So I do work with them for that as well. Jane, my son put a bit shell to his ear. I asked him what he could hear, and he said the drains. Not quite what you were expecting. Sue, the shell is a slipper limpet. Looks like thick toenails. That's the one, Sue. I actually think they're really creepy. I don't like feet particularly. So a shell that looks like thick toenails is not particularly attractive to me. But it's a shell, so it carries all that magic with it. It doesn't really matter what it looks like. Shells in general carry the element of water and all of that magic. In particular types of shells do actually have their own specific magic as well, which I will cover in a second. Alex will be on the beach in Norfolk from tomorrow, paying respect from a distance, of course, to a colony of beautiful seals and looking for hagstones. Oh, fantastic. Beautiful, beautiful creatures. Good morning, Gemma. Can't be Friday again already. I know. Where does the time go? It absolutely is Friday. Welcome back. Carol has an abalone shell for your sage stick to sit in. Yes, they're really, really good to put smudging sticks rested in. Maria says her son collects loads of those. They are weird. They are weird. Each to their own. Michelle says Moonstone Beach on the central coast of California is aptly named. I found some beautiful stones and shells there. What an amazing name for a beach. Moonstone Beach. That sounds enchanting. So I also think their shells have associations with quite a few of the deities as well. In particular, Aphrodite is well known for her connection to shells. So I think they can also be used quite successfully in love spells. The barking you can hear is Eric out in the garden, chasing a cat or a seagull or a pigeon or something. So I think love spells or anything to do with love, that shells really tie in with that energy as well. And you can also make them into talismans as well to draw love to you. So really useful for love as well. And of course, in James this morning, Eric, yeah, I can just see him out through the window. Bless him. In the past, going back some considerable time, shells were also used in some parts of the world as currency. So they also have that association with drawing money to you and prosperity. So you can use them in money drawing spell pouches, add a silver coin and some mint or some basil, or you can pop a small shell inside your purse to keep the money coming in, to bring prosperity your way. So lots and lots of different uses, really, really useful. So I think as well, this one's probably quite a good one to show. I have no idea what it is. It looks a bit like a snail. I'm going with the sea snail. Just making up creatures. But think about the shape of it. The clam type ones as well. Think about the shape and what lives inside them, because we pick them up as empty shells, hopefully empty shells. If you pick one up on the beach and it's got a living creature inside it, please do put it back down. All of them, this one as well, they had creatures in them. So they are basically homes. It's a protective covering for the creature inside. So not only could you work with the shells for home magic, you can work with them for protection, because they protect the tiny little creature inside. Alex says a hermit crab house. Yes, it could well be. But they all had creatures in them, whether it was a crab or whether it was other creatures. They all had creatures inside them. So the shells bring protection. So you can use them in protection magic, and because their shell is their home, you can use them for magic to work with your home and your hearth and your family. Use them in witches' bottles. You can string them on a necklace to make a protection necklace. Pop the shell on if you've got a tiny little shell, pop it on the collar of your dog or cat to bring them protection when they're out and about. Very, very, covers so much stuff. That's emotions, that's protection, that's love, that's home, prosperity, money. Really, really useful for things that you can just pick up for free. Shells can also be used in divination. So we talked about it last week with the pebbles. You can make your own set of runes with pebbles, but you can make your own lithomancy set with pebbles, crystals, small bones, and cast them for reading. Think Tiadama on the Pirates of the Caribbean, where she scoops up her shells and her bones and just shakes them and casts them. They make really good lithomancy sets. You can also make them into your own runes by painting or carving symbols on them. So really, really useful for divination as well. Or put into your ear and listening, obviously. Particular shells have their own meaning. Excuse me, bear with me a second. So abalone. Some of you have mentioned abalone shells, which are really useful because they tend to be quite nice sizes. So you can use them for offering dishes or for putting your smudge sticks in. But they have a specific meaning. So their general use, other than the containment of empowered herbs and stones, is very good for love spells, for balance, and for affirmations. An abalone amulet will protect against negative energy, and abalone talismans will bring creativity. Wearing an abalone shell will bring protection against negative energy, but also protect you from depression, sorrow, and fear. The abalone shell also brings creativity and inspiration. And abalone make good tools to use for balancing your chakras because they carry the colours of the rainbow inside. I don't actually have one here. I've got a little one with. I'm going to have to get up now. See, totally unprepared again. Oh, I have a little pretty shell on my altar with the mother of pearl inside it. So that one, really beautiful. So you could use abalone. It has, you can't really see on the camera, but it has got the colours of the rainbow in it. It's really pretty. So it works really well for balancing your chakras because it carries the colours of the rainbow and therefore the colours of the chakras. Abalone shells also make good holders for incense. Jane, abalones have a handy rough bit in the middle for snuffing out your smudge stick. Obviously built for the job. Yes, they are. I think they are. Everyone I know that has one tends to use it for putting their sage stick in. But they are really beautiful inside, really beautiful. So, and I might be getting this completely wrong because I'm not an expert on the names of shells. Just looking to see if I've got one to find for you. It's probably not what it is, but a long pointy shell, an auger, A-U-G-E-R, and any long pointy shells. What other ones I've got? Not very many long pointy shells. So long pointy shells. Due to their shape, they bring a masculine energy. And they can be used for fertility, strength, protection, and courage. Because they've got that whole masculine thing going on due to their shape, they carry all of that kind of energy, that kind of tough courage, protection, strength, and also fertility. So shells in particular, I think, bring a bit of fertility energy anyway. But if that's what you're looking for, go for the long pointy one. Maria said, I had a spider ring where the abalone shell was used as the abdomen. Oh, cool. I bet that looked absolutely amazing. Clam shells. And I know these probably aren't clam shells, but they're all that kind of shape. That's a scallop shell. I know that one. So a clam type shell. Get it in the right direction. Purification, love, and friendship for the clam shells. Usually they come as a, this is my impersonation of a clam. That's a clam. Usually you get two halves because the little creature lives inside. So clam shells, purification, love, and friendships. Conch shell, which I don't have, but they are the ones that you usually put to your ear or make a noise with. Now, these are the shells that make a loud noise when they're blown through, like a horn or a trumpet. It does make a really loud noise, quite beautiful noise, actually. So it works well for summoning spells, communication, and clearing away any confusion. It's also the symbol of truthful speech, strength, and love. So that kind of the use and the shape ties in with the magical workings for them. So they're really useful. Cockles, which are, again, I don't have one. I just have, they are that kind of shape. They're little round ones. Cockles are for love, friendship, relationships, and emotions. Cone shells, any shell that's in a sort of cone shape, brings time to take charge and lead by example. But it may also indicate a situation where you need to retreat or take cover. And again, I think that kind of ties in with the shape of the shell and hiding and retreating and taking cover. But the cone-shaped ones are really good for if you've got to take control of something. Bring you a bit of courage with it as well. The cowrie shell, which I know I've got somewhere, but not in my little box. Always the way, isn't it? I think I've got one on a necklace somewhere hanging up there. So the cowrie shell are prosperity, money, love, and fertility. Now, if you look at a cowrie shell, and I don't think I've got it hanging up there. Let me investigate. Talk amongst yourselves. I know I've got a cowrie shell in here somewhere. There we go. Huge amounts of junk. Huge amounts of junk. So I've got a cowrie shell. So if you look at the cowrie shell, that's had the top sliced off. If you look at that side of the cowrie shell, what does it make you think of? Cowrie shell is very feminine, i.e. this Looks like a yoni, basically. So it is very feminine. You can string cowrie shells onto red cord or thread long enough to hang over your tummy for fertility, if you want to get pregnant type of fertility. Once you're pregnant, it also protects your unborn child. Make a necklace from charged cowrie shells to wear for general protection as well. But it is a very, very feminine shell. No, I had one somewhere. Actually, there's a necklace I made for the goddess Ocean. And I've got beads that are sea and sand coloured. Then I have a bead made out of sea glass, and then I've got the cowrie shell hanging on the bottom. That was a necklace I made to honour the goddess Ocean when I was working with her. So Jane says fossil shells look the same as modern ones. The pointy ones were called turritella. Do you think the fossil shells might contain a different sort of energy? I think the shape of the shell will still carry that energy. They will still carry the energy of shells, but they will also carry the energy of ancestors. I think any fossils carry that ancient wisdom with them. I think it'd be absolutely magical to work with a fossil shell. I think it would have a real extra boost of ancestor energy to it. Jane used to have a pet clam, most boring pet ever. There's my husband. I thought you turned into a clam then. Very funny. Were you all fooled? Sue, I was thinking it looks like a shark's mouth full of teeth. There's probably something really deeply psychological to that, Sue. But yes, you are right. It has got that kind of teeth to it, hasn't it? And I think perhaps that would bring in the protection energy from it. Thank you, Trudy. Yeah, so it's very pretty. I worked with Ocean when I was doing the Ark of the Goddess course. She was one of the goddesses that came to me, so that was made for her. So we have the feminine cowrie shell. Whelks are another one. Dramatic, positive change and getting a grip on the situation. Also useful for decision and direction spell work. Limpets, which are, of course, the ones that really stick onto the rocks, bring courage, confidence, endurance, and strength, which makes sense because they stick themselves onto rocks and you can't get the little beggars off. You shouldn't get them off because if they're stuck to the rock, they're living. So that kind of ties in with them being good for endurance and strength magic. Scallops, and I did have one of those here, are that sort of shape with the little square bit on the bottom. So scallop shells it's a good all-purpose shell for all of the elements of water magic and, you know, everything that we've covered. Prosperity, protection, love, the whole kit and caboodle. But they're also good for travel and movement. So they're quite useful to work with. Scallops is them, that's good. Oysters. Right, if anybody's ever eaten an oyster, yuck. No, I eat most things, but oysters to me just taste like salty snot. So not my particular choice. But oysters are for good fortune, love and passion. Obviously, the oysters have the extra boost of energy because they're known as aphrodisiacs. So very good for love and passion, but also good for banishing spell work as well. Sand dollars, which are echinoids. And I had one of those somewhere too. Nope, that one's disappeared. Everything's spread. See, can you tell that I've moved up into the new room and I'm not really sure where everything is? And I'm also realizing I've got my computer glasses on, which are fine for seeing the computer screen, but not so good for seeing around the room. So sand dollars are echinoids. They are beautiful. They look like little stars, but they're really, really useful. I work with them a lot, actually. But they are really good for wisdom and knowledge. And for anybody that reads Terry Pratchett's Discworld books, sand dollars or echinoids are the shells that Tiffany works with as well. So amazing things, absolutely amazing things. And moon snails, which are really good for lunar magic, psychic abilities, purification, and peace. So shells in general, really good for all sorts of things, but look at the specific shapes, look at the specific type of shell and see what it says to you. Like the cone one that wraps around, that really does say to me about hiding and, taking cover. Look at the shape and see what it says to you. And each individual shell will have, like the pebbles, will have its own unique energy as well. So you really need to make that connection with the shell yourself and find out exactly what it is that it can do for you. Jane says there are lots of fossil shells in the steep river bank at Kingsclear and right at the back of the beach at Walton-on-the-Naze. Perfect. I would be snaffling a few of those, Jane, to work with. Maria says, no, can't even look at oysters. Yeah, no, it's not my thing. Not my thing. Sue, love oysters deep fried in breadcrumbs, but alas, they do not like me. No, they're not for me. Jane, oysters are great for food poisoning too. Indeed, if you get a wrong one. Yes. Yes. A lot of shellfishes, isn't it? You've got to be careful that you get fresh shellfish. Trudy, my husband's face was a picture when he held an oyster in his mouth for a tad too long. There's a reason why people just swallow them whole, because they're nasty. Christine, I need a bit of vitamin C, but oysters sound definitely not trying. No. No. You don't have to apologize for being late, Martina. Welcome. So different energies for different types of shells. Do make a connection with them yourself to see what each one is. I'm sorry, my laptop's on a very wobbly balanced at the moment. It's like an old Star Trek movie. where sorry, going off on something there. I don't know what he put in my tea. Obviously something dodgy. Andrea, I've been feeling drawn to the beach lately. Went last night, collected shells for some reason. This is the first time I've watched you. Coincidence! Yay! There are no coincidences. It's all meant to be, Andrea. So absolutely. Your shells you collected for a reason. Work with them. They are so, so magical. Jane, whoever thought of eating something that's torture? Who opened an oyster and thought, that looks delicious, I'm going to eat that? I guess if you're really, really hungry. Just to reiterate, if you are collecting shells from the sea, please make sure the creature is still not inside it. If you do pick up one that's got a little creature in there, pop it back where you found it. And if you are purchasing the shells from a shop or the internet, please make sure they are from sustainable and viable sources. If you've collected the shells from the seashore, there's not much preparation to them. I give them a bit of a wash, but I think they've got a whole package of energy, much like the stones from the beach. But the shell's got the magic of water. It's also got the magic of earth because it's been in seawater. So it's connected with the salt of the seawater. It was also on the sand. So it's got the element of earth. It's been sitting in the sun. So it's got the element of fire as well. And it's been sitting on the beach. So it's got the element of air. So like pebbles from the ocean, it's got all four elements in it as well. So they really, really are useful. But yeah, I just give them a bit of a wash when I get them home. I don't think there's anything else you need to do to them. So shells, really, really useful. You can put them on your altar. You can use them as talismans or amulets. You can use them as spell ingredients. You could put them in spell pouches. You can put them in witch bottles. You could drill little holes in them if they haven't got holes. Some of them, like these ones, which are parts of shells, have convenient loops in them, and they can be threaded onto cords to make into necklaces or bracelets or charms of some sort. But you can drill little holes in them if you're very careful and string them up, make them into things. Really, really useful. Offering dishes. If you get some of the bigger ones, you can use them, as we said, as smudging dishes, but you could also make them into little candles as well. Just so many uses, and all linked to mainly the element of water. Really, really magical. And leading on from shells, we have sand. I have a little bit of sand in a pot here. little bit of sand. There we go, a little bit of sand. I'm running out, actually. I put the sand in my oil burner and then I put my incense on top of it. So that's generally why I have sand. The beaches near me aren't sandy. They are all covered in pebbles. But if you have a beach with sand, it is another magical ingredient for free to add to your collection. Sand is basically made up of tiny particles of rocks and minerals. So wherever your location is, it would depend on the exact composition. Again, generally, sciencey bit, it's a mixture of silica in the form of quartz or calcium carbonate. See, who knew I was a scientist, eh? Brilliant white sand might be made from limestone, coral and shells, while yellower sand may be from granite. Black sand or dark sand is often from volcanic basalts. I had that written down. I didn't remember that. That's far too much technical information. I think sand's really useful from a practical point of view. As I say, I put it in my oil burners and then I put incense, loose incense on the top, and it heats up and releases all the scent from the incense without the smoke. It also makes a useful base to stand your candles in. So it collects the wax strips and it also keeps the area safe from flame. It also does the same job if you pop it in the base of a cauldron. Health and safety, really. Health and safety conscious, that's us. But I think to me, sand also represents time, because it's what you get in the word's gone. Someone help me out. What's it called? The little thing you turn upside down. With sand in it to measure the time. Oh, one of those thingies. Anyway. So it represents time. Seriously, I need that bacon butty. Obviously, my bran flakes, sand timer. I mean, yes, thank you. Hourglass. That's the word I was looking for. Just a note to my husband. Please make me a bacon sandwich. Obviously, I need it. Egg timer. Yep. Thank you. I'm glad you guys are here, really, because I look like a complete idiot otherwise. Let's just go to a comment. Jane, whenever we go on a holiday or a beach trip, I bring back a tiny bag of sand as an offering to the worms in the compost bin. Oh, excellent. Worms need sand to help them process their food, and it's a thank you for all their hard work. Perfect. I love that. Love that. Willow said, my friend and I did a labyrinth walk on the beach yesterday. I collected some sand from the centre and will be adding it to my shaman rattle when I make it. Fantastic. Sand is so beautiful to stand on in bare feet, connecting with energy and time. Yes, sand's brilliant, isn't it? For drawing circles, for ritual. A labyrinth would be perfect for drawing pentagrams as well. Absolutely brilliant, because you can draw all sorts of things in it. As I say, yes, time. Sand represents time to me. And I think, you know, if you want something to add to your spell work, to make something work faster, or if you've got something that you want on a particular time frame, add in a sprinkling of sand and you can set the timing for the spell as well. Really useful for that, I believe. You can add it to spell pouches, to spell workings, to represent water, and also to represent earth and all the associated correspondences. Candles can also be rolled in sand before a spell to bring the magic of the ocean into the spell work. But it is, again, like shells and like sea pebbles, it is representative of all the elements: the earth, the ocean, the wind, and the sun. So you've got all of those 4 elements in that sand. So really a good all-rounder. Martina says, funny you talk about seed today, as I bought some hagstones off eBay as I was drawn to them. But was that okay? Absolutely. As you read, you should find them or be given them. I've never worked the sea. Time for me to explore it. No, hagstones are very specific to different beaches. Sometimes you can't find them. So if you have to buy them, then absolutely fine, Martina, absolutely fine. Work with it. I would cleanse them first and then make a connection with them. Have fun with it. Yeah, absolutely. They might not necessarily be hagstones from the ocean. They might be hagstones from a river. So worth connecting with them to see what magic they can help you with. Maria uses it for incense and for charcoal discs. Yes, put charcoal discs on the sand as well. It's a good safety tip. Christine, one tip from me is when you have sandy feet, use talcum powder on your feet and it clears all the sand. Oh, fantastic. That's actually one of the things I really hate about sandy beaches is coming away with all the sand everywhere. Maria can't abide touching wet sand. Wet sand's a bit weird, isn't it? It's got a very strange consistency to it. Karen, you should write a sea magic book. Well, it's funny you should say that, Karen. In my Kitchen Witchcraft series, I have written the element of earth. I've written the element of fire, which will be out next year. The next one is the element of water. So there will be lots of sea magic in that one. Jane says, I stood on grey sand in bare feet in Iceland with 1 foot in America and 1 in Europe. Wow, it was a weird feeling. I bet it was. How bizarre, but how fantastic to visit Iceland too. Fascinating place. Teresa, good morning, Teresa. That is amazing, Jane. I'm quite blown away by that. So sand, really useful, carries all 4 elements with it. Although I think it leans quite heavily on the ocean, obviously. Think about the beach. Sitting in your sun lounger, shades on, cocktail in one hand, book in the other. Perfectly ideal for relaxation. So I think sand brings that kind of holiday feel and that chill out kind of vibe with it as well. So really good for relaxation spells as well. It's also really good for banishing things, bad habits, bad people, whatever you want to get rid of. Write the name of the person or the bad habit you want to get rid of in the sand, then let the ocean waves wash it away. Actually working magic on the beach in the sand is brilliant because whatever you put in that sand, the ocean will take it away and it will release it. So really, really brilliant. You could also draw sigils or symbols in it and let the ocean wash that away as well. If you're at home, put some sand in a dish, write the name of the person you want to banish or the habit you want to get rid of, and then literally just pour water over it to wipe it away. And it really, I'm going to sneeze, and it really gets releases it and washes it away. I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. See, you can really tell I haven't taken my antihistamines this morning. So really good for releasing, really good for washing away. You can also use sand to create your circle in ritual. Literally sprinkle sand around in a circle to mark the boundary. And it brings in that protection as well. But it's because it's got salt in it as well. It's had that connection with the ocean, so it's got that salt connection. So I think as a good substitute for salt or as a good alternative, if you want to work with a slightly different energy, sand makes a really good alternative to salt. So you can use it in anything that you would use salt in. Really, bless me. Thank you, everyone. So sand is really, really useful. So either sitting on the sand or bringing some home with you. You can put it in a flat tray, use it as a blank canvas. You can draw with it. You can draw, be creative, draw images, draw symbols, unconnect your mind and allow your subconscious to work with drawing images in the sand. Work with it as a meditative tool. So you could create a spiral or a labyrinth for walking around in the sand. If you've only got a small dish of it, make a labyrinth or a spiral with your finger and follow it around to bring you into a meditative state. Sand is really, really good for that. It's a blank canvas, so you can draw on whatever you want, and then when you're finished, smooth it out and you start again. So I think sand is really, really useful for all kinds of things. Sue, I was told if you use salt to cleanse a circle, put it in a salt mill, it's easier to use. Oh, okay. Yes, to kind of sprinkle around. Definitely. Very, very useful. So sand, another one, shells and sand, which brings me on to the next thing, connected with the ocean. Now, you might not get this. We don't get sea glass. We don't get it on Air Beach local to us. This came from Charmouth in Dorset. So you do get sea glass along the Jurassic coast there. Jane says an excellent idea and a blessed relief for slugs. Yes, although slugs probably won't like traveling over sand. It won't squish them up like salt does. So I have got quite a little dish of sea glass here. Greens and whites mostly, but a few browns in there. On the odd occasion, you get a tiny, weeny piece of blue glass, but it's generally whites and greens. In fact, I have got a couple of little fossils in there as well from the beach. There, little fossilized creatures. Oops. That came from the beach as well. Little wormy shaped ones. There's another little fossil bit there. So I love sea glass. I think it is so magical and so beautiful. You can make it into jewelry as well, and it's really, really pretty. Sea glass, it isn't found everywhere, so you have to be lucky enough to find a beach that has it. It is basically nature's way of recycling broken bottles and jars that find their way into the ocean. So for me, it brings that extra magic of Mother Nature dealing with human litter and making it beautiful. So it's got that kind of renewal and repurpose energy to it as well. But it is basically pieces of broken glass that get tumbled over and over in the ocean. So they're made smooth. And it gets that kind of rough look to the outside. And all the edges are smoothed off. So for me, it's got that real brilliant renewal, kind of phoenix reborn energy to it. Apparently takes about 10 years for a piece of broken glass to become a proper piece of sea glass, i.e. a smooth, small, frosted looking glass pebble. Christine, I loved watching children playing in the sandpit in the nursery I worked in. They're magic to watch and really good for their imagination and mind. Children love playing in sandpits, don't they? We had one in the garden for our children. If you do have a sandpit in the garden for your children, please put a lid on it because the cats like it too. Sue, sometimes you need good eyes to find sea glass. Why is it always little bits? Well, because it's broken glass, isn't it? So it gets chucked about in the ocean, and most of my pieces are quite small. It gets chucked about in the ocean, so it is quite small. Sea glass makes great jewelry, so it does. It makes beautiful jewelry. Jane has one piece of sea glass. It's emerald green. Yes, I mean, this is all from Charmouth, not from my local beach. So you do have to be lucky to find a place that has it. But it is magical and it carries the magic of the ocean. But for me, it carries the element of water because it has been tumbled and smoothed by the ocean for so long, 10 years or more. But because it originally started life as a piece of glass, I also think it's got that fire element to it as well. So it's quite a unique blend of fire and water. So I think it has got a really special magic to me anyway, directly connected to that element of water, obviously. And it brings all those emotional properties as well. And I do use it in spell pouches and medicine and witches' bottles for the element of water, particularly for emotions, because it comes in such small pieces as well. So it's really good to just drop a little tiny piece into your spell working. But it does bring that fiery energy with it as well. So it's got that boost of fire magic to it. They make really good talismans as well, obviously, and jewelry, and you can charge it as well. Jane says there should be lots of sea glass off the Frinton coast where the pirate radio ships used to be. They practically ran aground on the piles of bottles they generated. I don't know what it is. I believe it's something to do with the tides and different things like that sea glass ends up on particular beaches. I'm pretty sure that an awful lot of people throw bottles into the water on our local beaches, but they don't seem to end up here as sea glass. They get carried away. As I say, Dorset, the Jurassic coast here in England, is where I've found all of my sea glass. So it really does depend on where you are. But it is very magical. So shells and sand and sea glass, you can then take it out to driftwood. I don't actually have any pieces of driftwood. The beaches near us don't seem to provide much driftwood. old used babies' nappies and plastic bottles and dog poop and all sorts of other things. It's not quite that bad. But no driftwood. But I think driftwood is very magical too, because it has started life as a tree. So you've got that tree magic to it, and you've got that earthy element of wood, and then it's been tossed around in the ocean. So it's had that added element of water, seawater, all added into it and made into something beautiful. Not that trees weren't beautiful in the first place, but the ocean smooths it and makes it into beautiful architectural pieces of wood. I think driftwood is absolutely beautiful. So you've got for free items that carry the magic of the tree, but also the magic of the ocean. So lots and lots of things that, again, are provided for free that Mother Nature just hands to us. And of course, you've got the ocean as well. So if you want to collect some seawater, you have magical water to work with. Ocean water is brilliant. It works just the same way as you would with your moon water. You can charge it out in the moon, but there is no need to, because it's been charged the whole time under the moon. And the ocean has such a direct link with the moon that you have instant moon water that's got the added bonus of having salt in it. So it has got a real boost of protection to it. It's got a real boost of cleansing and purifying energy. You need do nothing to it. Just collect a little bit of ocean water and you've got magic water there ready to go, ready to do whatever you want to. Really good for sprinkling around the house to bring in protection and cleansing. Really good for cleansing your ritual circle before you cast it, or even to cast your ritual circle. Really, really useful. If you're not near an ocean and you've only got a river, then you can use that water as well. It won't have quite that sea salty element to it, but water still has, river water still has, or lake water still has all the elements of water, obviously. All the cleansing, the purifying, the emotions. Really, really useful to use. Tony, Jenny, my friend, says there is a beach near Folkestone which has lots of sea glass, but she can't remember which one. Do you know? No, I'm not familiar with the Folkestone area, but if one of the beaches near Folkestone has it, then you'll probably find that most of the local ones do. Rachel says, I found lots of sea glass on childhood holidays on the Isle of Wight. It was so magical finding these little jewels of colour amongst the stones. Maybe that's where all the bottles from Portsmouth go. We throw them in the ocean here, it arrives up on the shore in the Isle of Wight. And of course, Isle of Wight has all the coloured sands as well. Very magical. Sue, I saw a beautiful driftwood Christmas tree. I have seen them where people have used pieces of driftwood at different lengths and strung them together to make the triangle of a Christmas tree. Beautiful. Willow, driftwood floats about in the moonlight like moonwater. It is moonwood. Perfect. Absolutely perfect, Willow. That is a beautiful way of describing it. Christine, I love going to the beach after a storm. There are some amazing and interesting things to find. Yes. After a storm is a good time to arrive on the beach because it will literally throw up all kinds of things. Carla, I really want to go to the beach now soon, hopefully. Yes, that was actually the first place we went when everything started to open up, because we had been advised to only drive for essential reasons. So when we walked the dog, we only walked the dog locally. When everything started opening up, the first dog walk we took was to the beach to walk the dog along the seafront, and it was magical, absolutely magical. Tess, sorry I'm late, not feeling well. Oh, I do hope you feel better soon, Tess. Got my sea glass from Mallorca. Excellent. And in terms of driftwood, my dad lives in, I can't pronounce that, Wales, Carnarvon, North Wales. We always used to find driftwood on the local beaches, still do sometimes. There are some amazing driftwood art pieces in Glencliff and Snowdonia art shops. Yes, you'll probably find some driftwood artwork on places like Etsy as well, definitely. Christine says, don't go to Dorset. Apparently it's full. Saw hundreds of caravans coming down yesterday. No, I'm not, I won't be. We're still not literally not out of the woods yet. So no, I won't be traveling on away. I don't have a caravan anyway. Don't do camping. But yes, we will be avoiding busy areas. Willow says, carve an inscription in driftwood and throw it back in. Rather magical. Perfect. You can do that with any sort of thing, whether it's driftwood, you could carve or write your wish, desire on it and throw it back into the water. You can do the same with a pebble. You could draw a symbol, a sigil, or write a word on it, and the same on a shell. If your shell's big enough, write a symbol on it and throw it back into the water to make your wishes come true. Pebbles, shells, driftwood as well. You could also release negative energy into them and throw it back into the water for the ocean to cleanse and remove it all. So the ocean provides us with so much free stuff. Moon water, driftwood, shells, pebbles, sea glass, sand, loads and loads of free stuff to work magic with that has been created by Mother Nature. She's very generous. Even though sometimes as human beings we are really ungrateful towards her, she is very generous. So that's shells today, and sea glass and sand, all very magical to work with. Do make your own connection with them. As with the stones and the feathers and other things we've talked about, crystals, anything, make your own connection with each individual item. Jane, we can't travel long distance just yet. Today, Chaz's, tomorrow the world. Yeah, we're staying local too, Jane. Gotta be sensible about it. Christine, I have had a piece of driftwood and put little hooks onto it and made 3 witches' ladders on them. Beautiful. And also shells and crystals. Now it hangs in my bathroom and lots of people comment on it. Brilliant. Yes, because you can make some lovely wind chimes as well with pieces of driftwood and shells. And sea glass and things. Sea glass lends itself to being wrapped in wire, and you can make some beautiful wind chimes, particularly, and shells as well, because shells make, well, you can hear shells make a really pretty noise when they clash together. So they make brilliant wind chimes. Hang them on pieces of thread and they make brilliant. Let's get crafty. Be creative. Let your imagination run wild with you. And of course, we'd love to see your creations on the Facebook group. If you make anything, we would love to see the creations. But make that connection, whether it is with a shell or a piece of sea glass or a piece of driftwood. Connect with the energy of it first so that you know its story and you know what magic it can help you with. They will all have individual characters and personalities. Jane says coloured craft wire would be great with sea glass. Yes, matching it with the sea glass, it makes it very, very pretty. So make your own connection with the items, and whenever Mother Nature offers you up something, accept it with grateful thanks, because it will be for a particular reason, and you can work magic with all kinds of these natural items. Absolutely brilliant, for free. Thank you, Mother Nature. So that's about it for this week, unless anyone has any other questions. If you are around on Sunday this weekend, we have a Waffling Witches, myself and the Kitchen Witch Posse, 4 o'clock UK time, over on the Kitchen Witch Coven Facebook group. We're going to be talking about self-care, but specifically with the fact that everything is starting to open up now. And a lot of people, myself included, have pretty much been at home for the last year and a half. So I haven't been in a supermarket since this all started. So that's literally a year and a half now. I haven't been in a supermarket. I haven't been in a shop other than a couple of garden centres. So actually taking those steps to go back outside now into the big old wide world can actually be quite scary and quite unnerving. So we're going to be talking about self-care in general, but specifically about preparing yourself and working a little bit of magic and drawing on all your witchy skills, druidy skills, spiritual skills, to give yourself that little bit of courage to face the big wide world, really. So that's Sunday over on the Kitchen Witch Facebook group, Sunday 18th of April, 4 p.m. Links just come up in the comments. Thank you very much. We'd love to see you there. Otherwise, I will see you back here again next Friday. Although I'm off next week, I will be here again next Friday. Christine, have a great weekend. You helped me massively during lockdown. Right back at you, Christine. It really has been a lifeline to have these talks with you guys, and I will continue to do them for as long as people want them and for as long as people are around. Jane says, start with the Chazzers, charity shops. To those who don't understand the word Chazzers, your fears will melt away. Trudy, love this. Thank you. It's my last day in school. I'm retiring. Oh, fabulous. Happy retirement, Trudy. Onwards to the next chapter of your life. How exciting. Thank you so much, everyone, as always, for joining me. It has been a pleasure. And I will hopefully see some of you on Sunday. If not, hopefully see you again next Friday. Have a fantastic weekend and investigate your ocean finds. Have fun, everybody.